February 13, 2013. The Los Angeles Police Department releases a video that will freeze the world in its tracks. 4 minutes of grainy surveillance footage. A young woman alone in an elevator. She presses every button on the panel. She peers nervously into the hallway. She hides in the corner. She makes strange gestures with her hands, moving them in patterns that seem almost ritualistic. She appears to be talking to someone who isn't there. The elevator doors refuse to close, and then she disappears. 19 days later, guests at the hotel start complaining. The water tastes strange. It's brown. The pressure is low. A maintenance worker climbs to the roof to check the water tanks. He opens the lid of one of the 4,000-gallon reservoirs. And there, floating face up in the water that everyone in the hotel has been drinking, bathing in, and brushing their teeth with, is the naked body of Elisa Lam. This is the disturbing story of a 21-year-old college student who vanished inside America's most haunted hotel, and of a piece of security camera footage that went viral and has haunted the internet for over a decade. What did that camera really see at 3 in the morning? What do you think happened? Leave your theory in the comments. Before we talk about Elisa Lam, we need to talk about the place where she died. Because the Cecil Hotel isn't just a hotel. It's a monument to tragedy, a landmark of death. Some people call it the most haunted hotel in America. Others call it cursed. But the facts speak for themselves. The Cecil Hotel opened in 1924 in downtown Los Angeles. It was supposed to be a luxury destination, elegant and sophisticated. But timing is everything, and the Cecil's timing couldn't have been worse. Just 5 years after it opened, the Great Depression hit. The neighborhood around the hotel, once promising, began to decline. By the 1930s, the Cecil had transformed from an upscale hotel into a low-income residence in the heart of Skid Row, one of the most impoverished and dangerous areas in Los Angeles. And that's when the death started. 1931. W.K. Norton, a guest, takes poison in his room and dies. 1954. Helen Gurnee jumps from a 7th-floor window. 1962. Julia Frances Moore jumps from an 8th-floor window, landing on a 2nd-floor interior light well. 1964. Goldie Osgood, nicknamed Pigeon Goldie because she fed birds in nearby Pershing Square, is found dead in her room. She'd been raped, beaten, and stabbed. Her killer was never found. And those are just some of the documented deaths. By most counts, at least 16 people have died sudden or unexplained deaths at the Cecil Hotel since the 1930s. Suicides, murders, overdoses, disappearances. But it gets darker. In 1984, a man named Richard Ramirez checked into the Cecil Hotel. You might know him by another name, the Night Stalker. Between 1984 and 1985, Ramirez committed 14 murders across California. He would break into homes, assault and kill his victims, then return to his room at the Cecil. Other guests reported seeing him in the hallways wearing nothing but his underwear, sometimes covered in blood. He'd throw his blood-stained clothes in the dumpster behind the hotel and go to sleep. The Cecil Hotel management had no idea they were housing one of the most prolific serial killers in American history. 7 years later, in 1991, another serial killer chose the Cecil Hotel. His name was Jack Unterweger, an Austrian journalist who was actually in Los Angeles writing about crime for an Austrian magazine. But Unterweger wasn't just writing about crime. He was committing it. He chose the Cecil Hotel specifically because he admired Richard Ramirez. During his stay, Unterweger strangled 3 sex workers with their own bras. He was eventually caught, convicted, and died by suicide in prison. 2 serial killers. The same hotel. Both within a decade. In 2011, the hotel tried to rebrand itself. They started calling it Stay on Main, hoping to attract tourists and budget travelers who didn't know the hotel's dark history. They renovated some rooms. They marketed themselves as an affordable option in downtown Los Angeles. And in January of 2013, a young woman from Canada, browsing travel websites, looking for an inexpensive place to stay during her solo trip down the West Coast, made a reservation. Her name was Elisa Lam. Elisa Lam was 21 years old. She was a student at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver. Her parents were immigrants from Hong Kong who had built a life in Canada, running a restaurant in Burnaby, just outside Vancouver. Elisa was their daughter, their pride. She was smart, creative, thoughtful. She was also struggling. Elisa had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression. She was open about her mental health challenges, writing about them on her blog, which she called Ether Fields. She talked about her struggles with dark thoughts, with feeling disconnected from the world, with the exhausting cycle of highs and lows that bipolar disorder brings. But she was fighting. She was taking medication. She was in therapy. She was trying to live a normal life. In January of 2013, Elisa decided to take a trip, a solo journey down the west coast of the United States. She wanted to see California, to experience something new, to prove to herself that she could do this. She visited the San Diego Zoo. She explored Los Angeles. She planned to continue north to Santa Cruz. On January 26, 2013, Elisa checked into the Cecil Hotel. She'd booked it because it was cheap and centrally located. She had no idea about its history, no idea about the deaths, the serial killers, the reputation. At first, she was placed in a shared hostel-style room with other travelers. But within a few days, hotel management moved her to a private room. Why? Because the other guests complained. They said Elisa was acting strangely. She was having verbal outbursts. She was behaving in ways that made them uncomfortable. Hotel manager Amy Price would later describe Elisa during this time as having episodes, moments where she seemed agitated, paranoid, not quite present. On one occasion, Elisa was escorted out of a live television show taping because of disruptive behavior. But Elisa kept in regular contact with her parents. She called them. She posted on social media. As far as they could tell, she was fine. Traveling, exploring, living her life. January 31st, 2013. Early morning, around 3 a.m. A security camera in one of the Cecil Hotel's elevators captures footage of Elisa. It will be the last time she is seen alive. February 1st. Elisa was supposed to check out of the hotel that day. She doesn't. Her parents, who had been in regular contact with her, suddenly can't reach her. They call the hotel. They call the police. Elisa Lam is reported missing. Police search her room. Everything is there. Her wallet, her identification, her laptop, her medications. Elisa's belongings are neatly arranged, as if she just stepped out for a moment and planned to return. But Elisa never returns. Before we show you what that elevator camera captured, what do you think happened? Do you think Elisa left the hotel on her own? Do you think someone took her? Do you think something else was going on? Comment below with your theory. For nearly 2 weeks, the Los Angeles Police Department searches for Elisa Lam. They interview hotel staff. They review security footage. They search the neighborhood. They find nothing. No witnesses. No leads. No trace. On February 13, 2013, desperate for information, the LAPD does something unusual. They release security camera footage to the public, hoping someone will recognize something, remember something, provide a tip that breaks the case open. The video is approximately 4 minutes long. The footage is grainy, low resolution, the kind of cheap security camera video you'd expect from a budget hotel. The timestamp has been partially obscured, but it appears to be shortly after midnight on February 1st, just hours after Elisa was last known to be alive. The video starts with Elisa entering the elevator. She's wearing a red hoodie, black shorts, and sandals. The same outfit she'd been wearing earlier that day. She walks in casually, turns around, and presses multiple buttons on the elevator panel. Not just her floor, multiple floors, nearly every button. Then she stands there, waiting, but the elevator doors don't close. She steps forward and presses the buttons again. Still, the doors remain open. Elisa peers out into the hallway. She leans her head out, looking left, then right, as if checking to see if someone is there. Her body language is tense, cautious. She steps back into the elevator and moves to the corner, pressing herself against the wall, as if trying to hide. She's making herself small, invisible. Why? Who is she hiding from? Seconds pass. The doors still don't close. Elisa peeks out again, more carefully this time. Then she steps completely out of the elevator and stands in the hallway, just outside the camera's view. We can only see part of her body. And then her behavior becomes truly bizarre. Elisa starts moving her hands and arms in strange, jerky, almost dance-like gestures. Her movements are erratic, unnatural. She waves her hands in front of her face. She moves them in patterns that seem deliberate but incomprehensible. She appears to be talking, her mouth moving, as if she's having a conversation with someone. But there's no one there. At least no one the camera can see. She steps back into the elevator briefly, then out again. She continues the strange hand movements. At one point, she seems to count on her fingers. At another moment, she bends her hands at odd angles, as if she's miming something or performing some kind of ritual. Throughout all of this, the elevator doors remain open. They never close, even though Elisa pressed multiple buttons. Even though the elevator should have moved to another floor. It just sits there, doors wide open, as if waiting. After several minutes of this unsettling behavior, Elisa walks away. She leaves the frame entirely. The elevator doors finally begin to close. Then they open again. Then close. Then open. As if the elevator itself is confused. Eventually, the doors close for good. The elevator moves. The video ends. Within days of the LAPD releasing this footage, it goes viral. 3 million views on the Chinese video platform Youku within the first 10 days. 40,000 comments. The video spreads to YouTube, Reddit, Twitter, Facebook. Everyone is watching it. Everyone is trying to figure out what they're seeing. The internet explodes with theories. Some people say Elisa was clearly being followed. She was hiding from someone in the hallway. Someone just outside the camera's view. Someone who was stalking her, chasing her, cornering her. Others say she was intoxicated or drugged. Her movements are too strange, too uncoordinated. Someone must have slipped something into her drink. Then there's the technical analysis. People notice that the timestamp on the video has been partially obscured. Why? What is the hotel or the police hiding? Some believe the video has been slowed down in certain parts, making Elisa's movements appear even more bizarre than they actually were. What was edited out? What don't they want us to see? The paranormal community latches onto the video. They say Elisa was seeing ghosts, spirits, demons. The Cecil Hotel is haunted after all. Maybe she was being tormented by something supernatural. One of the most popular theories involves something called the Korean elevator game. It's an urban legend, a creepy ritual that supposedly allows you to access another dimension. The rules are specific. You enter an elevator alone. You press a sequence of buttons in a particular order. 4th floor, 2nd floor, 6th floor, 2nd floor again, 10th floor. If you do it correctly on the 10th floor, a woman will enter the elevator. You must not look at her or speak to her. Then you press the button for the 5th floor. If the elevator goes up instead of down, you've succeeded. You've entered another dimension. People watching the Elisa Lam video start comparing her button presses to the Korean elevator game sequence. Could she have been trying to play this game? Could something have gone horribly wrong? And then someone points out an eerie coincidence. In 2005, a horror film was released called Dark Water. It's about a mother and daughter who move into a dilapidated apartment building. Strange things start happening. Water drips from the ceiling. The water in the apartment turns brown and tastes strange. The elevator malfunctions. Eventually, it's revealed that a young girl drowned in the building's rooftop water tank, and her body has been decomposing there, contaminating the water supply. The similarities are chilling. A girl, a water tank, an elevator, strange-tasting water. Even the main character in Dark Water wears a red jacket, just like Elisa's red hoodie. Another disturbing coincidence emerges. Just days after Elisa's body is discovered, there's a tuberculosis outbreak in Skid Row, the area surrounding the Cecil Hotel. Health officials deploy a mobile testing unit. The name of the tuberculosis test?
Lam LSA.
An acronym that just happens to be Elisa Lam's name backwards. People begin to wonder if this is all too strange to be coincidental. Is there something larger at play? Something we can't see? Something that doesn't make sense because we're not supposed to understand it? Thank you for staying with us. I know this is unsettling, but the most disturbing part is yet to come. Because 19 days after that elevator footage was recorded, someone finally finds Elisa, and where they find her is almost impossible to believe. February 19th, 2013. 19 days since Elisa Lam was last seen. The LAPD investigation has stalled. The viral elevator video has generated thousands of tips, but none have led anywhere. Elisa has simply vanished. That morning, guests at the Cecil Hotel start complaining to the front desk. The water pressure is low. The water coming out of the taps is brown, discolored. It has a strange taste. Something is wrong with the water supply. A maintenance worker named Santiago Lopez is sent to investigate. The hotel has 4 large water tanks on the roof, each holding about 1,000 gallons. If there's a problem with the water, it's probably up there. Lopez climbs the stairs to the roof. The rooftop is supposed to be a restricted area. The door is locked, accessible only to staff. There's also a fire escape that leads up from the outside, but it's equipped with an alarm that sounds if anyone uses it. Lopez reaches the water tanks. They're tall, cylindrical, industrial. He climbs the ladder attached to one of the tanks. He opens the heavy lid. He looks inside, and he sees her, a woman's body, floating face up in the water. Pale, bloated, about a foot below the surface. She's naked. Her clothes, the red hoodie and black shorts from the elevator video, are floating beside her, covered in a sandy, grainy substance. A wristwatch, a room key, all floating in the water. Lopez calls for help. Police and fire department arrive. They have to drain the tank to remove the body. Takes hours. When they finally retrieve her, the identification is quick. It's Elisa Lam. The coroner estimates she'd been in the water tank for approximately 2 to 3 weeks, which means she went into that tank very shortly after she was last seen in the elevator. Maybe that same night, maybe within hours. And now the truly disturbing part. For nearly 3 weeks, the guests of the Cecil Hotel had been drinking that water, bathing in it, brushing their teeth with it, washing their hands and faces with it. Water that contained Elisa Lam's decomposing body. The questions begin immediately. How did Elisa get onto the roof? The door was locked. If she used the fire escape, why didn't the alarm go off? And even if she made it to the roof, how did she open the heavy lid of the water tank? Those lids are industrial strength, designed to be difficult to remove. How did a petite young woman, alone, in the middle of the night, manage to lift it? And then, how did she get into the tank? The opening isn't huge. You'd have to climb up the ladder, lift the lid, then somehow lower yourself inside. It's awkward, difficult, physically challenging. Why would someone do that? And why was she naked? Her clothes were found in the tank with her, but she wasn't wearing them. Did she remove them before getting into the water? After? Why? Most importantly, if this was an accident, how did no one see or hear anything? The Cecil Hotel had security cameras, including the one in the elevator. Why is there no footage of Elisa going to the roof? Why didn't anyone hear the lid being moved? Why didn't anyone notice a young woman climbing a water tank in the middle of the night? The theories multiply. Some people believe Elisa was murdered. Someone chased her to the roof, forced her into the tank, and closed the lid, leaving her to drown. The person in the hallway that she was hiding from in the elevator video. He caught up to her. He killed her. Others believe it was suicide. Elisa was struggling with bipolar disorder. Maybe she decided to end her life in a place where she wouldn't be found quickly. Maybe the strange behavior in the elevator was a goodbye. A final, tragic performance before she disappeared. And still others believe the paranormal explanation. Ghosts, demons, possession. The Cecil Hotel claimed another victim. But the Los Angeles Police Department and the coroner's office are about to offer their official explanation. And it's an explanation that will satisfy almost no one. February 21st, 2013. Elisa Lam's body undergoes an autopsy at the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office. The initial results are labeled inconclusive. There's no obvious cause of death, no signs of physical trauma, no evidence of sexual assault, no defensive wounds, just a body that had been submerged in water for approximately 3 weeks. Toxicology tests are run. The results show traces of the medications Elisa had been prescribed for her bipolar disorder. Wellbutrin, lamotrigine, quetiapine, but the levels are low. Lower than they should be if she'd been taking her medication as prescribed. This suggests that in the days leading up to her death, Elisa had either stopped taking her medication or had been taking it irregularly. On June 20th, 2013, for months after Elisa's body was discovered, the coroner releases the official cause of death: accidental drowning. Bipolar disorder is listed as a significant contributing factor. The official theory goes like this: Elisa, experiencing a manic or paranoid episode due to her untreated or undertreated bipolar disorder, believed she was in danger. Maybe she thought someone was chasing her. Maybe she was hallucinating. In her distressed state, she made her way to the roof, possibly through an unlocked door or by triggering the fire escape alarm that no one responded to. She climbed the water tank, managed to lift the heavy lid, and got inside, perhaps thinking she was hiding from whatever threat she perceived. Once inside, the water level was initially high enough for her to stay afloat, but as hotel guests used water throughout the day, the level dropped and she was unable to climb back out. She eventually drowned. As for her clothes, the theory suggests she may have removed them because they were weighing her down as she tried to stay afloat, or because people experiencing severe psychological distress sometimes remove their clothing. It's a neat explanation. Ties everything together. Mental illness, paranoia.
Tragique accident.
But it leaves so many questions unanswered. If the door to the roof was locked, how did Elisa access it? If the fire escape alarm went off, why is there no record of it? How did a young woman in the middle of a psychological crisis have the presence of mind and physical capability to lift an industrial water tank lid? Why is there no security footage of her going to the roof? What was she doing in that elevator? Who or what was she talking to? And perhaps most frustratingly, the Los Angeles Police Department closes the case. As far as they're concerned, it's solved. Accidental death. Tragic, but not criminal. Elisa's parents file a wrongful death lawsuit against the Cecil Hotel in 2015, alleging that the hotel was negligent in providing a safe environment. The case is dismissed. The hotel, the lawsuit argues, is not responsible for a guest's decision to access a restricted area and enter a water tank. In 2017, the Cecil Hotel closes for renovations. For years, it sits empty, a ghost of its former self. Then, in December of 2021, it reopens. But not as a hotel. It's been converted into low-income housing, providing apartments for some of Los Angeles's most vulnerable residents. Reports from 2023 describe deplorable conditions. Black mold,
Pest infestations.
leaking pipes. The building, it seems, cannot escape its cursed history. In 2021, Netflix releases a 4-part documentary series called Crime Scene: The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel. It re-examines the case, interviews investigators, explores the internet's obsession with Elisa's story, and attempts to separate fact from fiction. But even the documentary can't provide definitive answers. As of today, in late 2025, the case remains officially closed. The elevator footage remains one of the most watched and analyzed pieces of security camera video in internet history. And the question remains, what did that camera really see at 3 in the morning? What did that security camera really see at 3 a.m.? Was Elisa Lam experiencing a severe bipolar episode, trapped in a paranoid hallucination that led her to climb into a water tank? Or was there someone else there? Someone the camera didn't capture? Someone lurking just outside the frame? Someone who chased her, cornered her, and pushed her to her death? The elevator doors that wouldn't close. The bizarre hand gestures. The way she seemed to be talking to someone who wasn't there. Or was someone there? Was the footage manipulated? Was the timestamp obscured for a reason? What was edited out? And how did a young woman with no climbing experience, in the middle of a mental health crisis, access a locked rooftop, lift a heavy water tank lid, and climb inside. The official explanation leaves too many questions unanswered, too many coincidences ignored, too many possibilities dismissed. Some people believe Elisa was murdered. They point to the lack of security footage showing her path to the roof. They question how she could have physically accomplished what she's accused of doing. They wonder if someone at the hotel, someone with access to the roof, someone who knew the building's layout, played a role in her death. Others believe it was suicide, that the elevator video was her final performance, a goodbye to the world, and that she climbed into that water tank knowing she wouldn't come out. That her mental illness had reached a point where death seemed like the only escape. And still others believe something darker, something paranormal, something connected to the Cecil Hotel's bloody history. 2 serial killers, 16 deaths, decades of tragedy. Maybe the building itself is cursed. Maybe Elisa saw something in that elevator that we can't see. Maybe she was running from something that doesn't show up on camera. What do you think happened to Elisa Lam? Was it truly an accident? A tragic consequence of untreated mental illness? Or was it something far more sinister that happened in that infamous hotel where serial killers once walked freely and death seemed to linger in every shadow? Share your theory in the comments below. After watching that elevator footage, after learning about the water tank, after seeing all the unanswered questions, what's your gut telling you? If this case left you as unsettled as it left millions of others around the world, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. We dive deep into the mysteries that haunt us, the cases that refuse to make sense, and the footage that keeps us up at night. Before you go, check out our next recommended video where we explore another disturbing disappearance that will make you question everything you thought you knew about the cases authorities call solved. Thank you for watching. Stay curious, stay safe, and maybe think twice before checking into a hotel with a dark history.